Welcome to the Huddle presented by The Standard, powered by the NBA and MLSE. I'm Savanna Hamilton. I'll be your host tonight. Surprise, surprise. And I'm honored to be hosting these incredible women and all the women in this room who have been in the sports industry or looking to be in the sports industry or in marketing in general as well. So before we begin, we have to hit you with that land acknowledgement. So we're giving many thanks to the original caretakers of this territory, the Huron-Wendat, the Petun, the Seneca of the Mississaugas, of the New Credit, for allowing us to live, to work, and play on this traditional territory. We gotta also mention the Haudenosaunee as well, covered by the Dish with One Spoon, Wampum Belt Covenant, and more recently, Treaty 13. Toronto is the meeting place and home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. All right, let's get into it. So for those who don't know me, I'm Savanna Hamilton. I'm a host and reporter at MLSE. I'm just looking at you right now, I cover the Toronto Raptors. I host the show Raptors Today, as well as a sideline reporter for the Raptors 905, and most recently, the Scarborough Shooting Stars. So I'm thrilled to be moderating this. We have some amazing women, and to be honest, at the intersection of gender, race, and sports, the Huddle created this space that we could share our stories, that we could be real, that we could actually have conversations that may feel at times uncomfortable to have with other colleagues. This is the space where we could be open about it. And so we're claiming this space, and we could be ourselves here. So that's the main point. This is the second of a two-part series. So in January, in case you guys missed it, we gathered around. I'm sure a lot of us had a glass of wine in the background, while we're also having honest conversations as well. So this one is called The Playbook for Success, Our Best Self in Motion, which is why we are breaking our conversation into 5 plays. So we got some incredible panelists tonight. We have Alyssa, Taylor, and Zara. So give a round of applause for them. I'm gonna get into their bios. Now, just to reiterate, there will be a Q&A at the end of our panel discussion, followed by a few light stretches, led by Zara, that will be easily implemented in your day-to-day routine. Now, just before we dive right on in, another round of applause should go to the Standard's generous founding partners, NBA Canada and MLSE, who are the presenting partners of tonight's event. They're making this happen. Okay, first things first, just before I get into who our guests are, who currently works in the sports industry? Hey, raise your hand. Yeah, be proud, be proud. There you go. Who's looking to get into the sports industry? Anybody? You're all like, yeah, I'm comfortable where I am. All right, well, tonight it's all about connection. And even if you're comfortable where you are, it's always great to connect with one another, our peers, our friends. This is our sisters, yo. There's lots of our sisters and allies in this space. So make sure to connect with them at Queen's Corner Reception. Now, the best part, our guests. Starting with Alyssa Whited. Now, she's a YouTube marketing lead here in Canada. That's incredible alone. It's the title for me. Backed by nearly a decade of experience working in PR and integrated communications for a number of nationally and internationally recognized fashion, beauty, and lifestyle brands, Alyssa's deep-rooted experiences has equipped her with the ability to build brand equity and push the needle to drive results. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alyssa joined YouTube as their marketing lead in Canada back in January 2021, following a 5-year stint at the global marketing as the global marketing director for Aldo. So I gotta talk to you about some accessories. Those are cute, yo. Yes, they are. Okay. Taylor Lindsay Noel, the CEO of Cup of Tea. Get it, Taylor? Cup of tea. You got it. Taylor is a 28-year-old entrepreneur from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Now, 14 years ago, she was a Canadian national gymnast, and back in 2008, under the coercion of her coach, she had a devastating accident that instantly paralyzed her. Since then, Taylor has persevered through adversity and has received a BA in Radio and Television Arts from Ryerson University, now known as... We don't talk about it. She's a motivational speaker. She's a disability advocate. She's a council member of the Premier's Council on Equality of Opportunity and the owner of Cup of Tea Luxury Loose Leaf Teas, which has been featured on Oprah's Favorite Things list in 2020. Hi, hello, hi. Zara Bruce. Last but certainly not least. I love Zara, guys. I love Zara. She works with the Raptors. She's a registered massage therapist. I had the pleasure of covering her this past Women's History Month in March and having to tell her story. So getting to her bio, she has over 20 years of experiences as an RMT providing services for the Toronto Raptors in 2017. Throughout her practice, Zara has gained extensive knowledge in sport rehabilitation therapy, specializing in the treatment and care of professional athletes in the NBA, NHL, AHL, CFL, and Olympians. In 2020, Zara co-founded Open Dialogue Canada. Now, this is insane. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Her foundation is incredible. A nonprofit organization for healthcare providers committed to improving the quality of care experienced for the BIPOC community. Give it up for Zara. All right, how you guys feeling? You guys good? You guys ready? All right, we're going to start with our first play. It's called Activate. Making your health a priority is critical to your ability to be a trailblazer. Talk about releasing the weight of being a trailblazer in so many spaces that we all hold. Am I right? How heavy is that to hold? How heavy is that to hold? Yes. Absolutely. Now, whether it's in yoga or releasing it in a physical way, like a midday walk or dancing to your favorite tunes, introducing movement to your day makes an impact, and pouring into yourself allows you to pour into others. Talk about filling up your own cup so that you are able to give it to others as well. So, Zara, we're going to start with you. You're going to kick us off. So we often wear many hats at work or at home. You work with players to ensure that they feel their best. How do you balance staying active and taking your time while on the road of an NBA season? That's 82 games, guys.
Oh, right.
Get the mic, girl, get the mic.
Yeah, all right. Okay, we're good? Can you hear me? Yes. So being a massage therapist is a very active job, right? When you're digging those elbows into those muscles, you're burning calories, right? So I've taken on as my responsibility to take care of myself and be healthy so I can continue to provide for others, right? But Savannah, you had mentioned the yoga and the walks. I do it all, right? Especially when you're on the road. I actually feel I have a little bit more time on the road than at home. At home, I have my wife hat, my mom hat, my chauffeur hat, my cook hat, my chemistry teacher hat, my English teacher hat, like everything that you gotta do to support your children, your family. So when I'm on the road, I actually am able to carve out a little bit more time for myself. And so it's a blessing in disguise that way. And it's really, really important to advocate for that time for yourself. And yes, yoga, walks, definitely tunes, you're lotioning up your skin to some soca, or you're blowing out your hair to some LL Cool J, or putting on your game day fit with Mary J. Blige, definitely dancing for sure. There's a lot of that in my hotel room by myself. Yes.
That's incredible, and that's such a great balance to find, because you're downplaying. I feel like the roads, it's still very tedious. You're still taking care of 6'8".
Right. 7. Yeah. 100 feet taller than me.
200 something pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So Alyssa, I'm gonna move to you next, because I do want to understand, in your role, you're at YouTube and you wear probably a lot of hats yourself, and what that role looks like for you. What keeps you motivated to carry all that weight in this space?
Yeah, so you said it's the title for me, right? Well, when I got the job, it was the title for me as well. And I don't think, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to imposter syndrome, and I don't care what company you're at or what role you're in or what past accomplishments you've had, imposter syndrome is real. And so when I got into the role, it was like, holy smokes, like this is what I've been waiting for, but I need to keep myself in check because I don't want to be in a position of burning out and blowing this role that I know I can do, but I don't want to sacrifice, you know? So first it actually started with my mental health. Like I know my behavior, I know that I will work. And I'm sure a lot of you in this room can relate to that. So I had to take the time first to get my mental health in check first, and that means like seeing a therapist regularly, also having open conversations about, you know, what it feels like to be stressed all of the time or maybe overwhelmed all the time. And then that led to me feeling capable enough to exercise or, you know, stay active, because sometimes if your mental health is not right, you're not going to want to get up and go to the gym. And so step one was mental health. So therapist, meditation, great sleeps, by the way, if you meditate. I'm a big proponent of Headspace. Hashtag not sponsored, but really amazing. And then I got into like Pilates and, you know, I go for runs. I never ran in my life before the pandemic, but I did get up to 12K. Just want to say, shout out also to the Nike Run app.
Wow.
Yes.
So yeah, that for me has been a game changer. And the motivation to staying active is making sure that I can show up for myself, making sure I can show up for my family, my husband, my job, and that's not easy, but it's necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, already, thank you for being vulnerable, even just sharing that you went to therapy,
got it.
because how vulnerable is that? There's such a stigma still around therapy, which is wild because we could go to the doctors and get a physical checkup, no problem. We even tell a few friends that we had the checkup or whatever, but like, talk about mental health and going to therapy, and like that's something that I've also have done in my life too, and the pandemic has really forced us to confront ourselves and face our quote unquote demons that we may or may not have, but that's how you show up as your best self as well. And something you also touched on was imposter syndrome, which, I mean, show of hands, who felt that before? Hi. So I appreciate that. So, you know, Taylor, I want to go to you next because, you know, I want to know how you prioritize a routine. You know, you are the CEO of a whole company. You're on the Oprah's list.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you stay energized in a busy week?
It's funny, we were actually talking about that privately before, and I was telling them that I actually don't have the best work-life balance, and that's just being completely honest. And I think in recognizing that during the pandemic, being honest with myself was probably the first step to having a better work-life balance. I had such an idea of what a CEO looks like. The idea of the CEO who gets up at 5 in the morning and goes to the gym and then goes to the run and then journals and does all these things before 8 o'clock. And I'm like, I like getting up at 11. And I like working till 2 in the morning because that's my schedule. And so I think starting with being honest with myself was really important. Prior to the pandemic, I mean, my accident had a very big toll on my life and mentally, so I had maybe a couple of sessions of therapy before. And during that, I realized my triggers of when I know things are about to get really bad. And when we were asked to be confirmed to be on Oprah's Favorite Things list, it was the most incredible moment of my life. We got on the list less than 2 years into the business, but instantly I knew this was going to be probably the highest high I will experience in probably this period of my life. But I know that those high highs come with low lows. And so while I was running my business and expanding and doing all of these incredible things, I entered therapy for myself to mentally get myself prepared for the low that came after. So I think just being honest with where I was at and recognizing that my journey will look different from everyone else's, but that doesn't make me any less capable of being a quote-unquote CEO, was really imperative to acknowledging that I'm actively working on a better work-life balance. It's still a work in progress, so I love it.
I love it, and I'm already starting to see a bit of a trend here. So
Therapy, do
therapy, guys. Give up to therapy.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's for real. Like, showing up as your best self and like even having the self-awareness to recognize, hey, like, let me just check in with myself first. Let me maintain what's happening up here so that I'm better out here as well. So this next one is actually for everybody. And also feel free to chime in. This is a conversation. I don't like just like directing questions and y'all like, you know, y'all chime in when you want to. How do you honor your body when it's time for rest. We're talking about honoring your mind. Let's go back to the physical. Let's get in our bodies for a second. Zara, I'll start with you with this one. How do you get into your body and honor it?
So I am in this field, in this profession for over 20 years. And that experience has allowed me to become very in tune with my body, with my needs, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. In terms of how do I get into my body, I'm a big proponent of movement, right? That's, our bodies are made, for kinesthetics. They're meant to move. And so just moving makes me feel better. And in terms of nutrition, nutrition is a big part of who I am. I kind of have an 80-20 rule where 80% of what I eat is going to be healthy for me, right? I'm a big green juice girl. I think I have one here.
Yes.
Right? Not just the green juice that looks green but tastes like pineapple and mango. I'm talking about the real, earthy.
A little attacked.
Mango pineapple green juice.
No, I've really convinced myself to like the green juices that taste like the Home Depot Garden Center. The ginger and the parsley and the turmeric. It tastes really good. It's good for you, and I've championed that attitude. So, maybe you get there, maybe you don't. Don't change your pineapple passion.
I won't.
But this is what works for me. So nutrition, sleep. Sleep is, very important. With the NBA schedule, with the grind of the travel full time, I know you've got back-to-back games. You're traveling through time zones. You're coming home in the middle of winter at 3 a.m., driving 45 minutes to your house from the airport, and then you got to get up 4 hours later to get back up and do it again, right? So it's a grind, and just taking care of those little things like your sleep, your nutrition, your movement, and definitely your mental state for sure. I breathe, I meditate, and it all kind of comes together holistically in terms of allowing me to present my best self. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, I like the Home Depot tasting green juice too.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said. Well, the garden section, right? Not just Home Depot. That was, but yeah, no. There's something to be said for the pineapple. But how do you honor your body and acknowledge when it does need rest?
So is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. So first, I do drink green juice, but it tastes a little fruity. I like the mango.
Do you?
I do. Honestly, sometimes I actually just rest. I'm one of those people where if I'm out, I'm on, and I'm gonna give it my all, but behind the scenes, when I'm home, I just need to be home and decompress. And that means putting my phone away. That means not answering text messages. That means not feeling guilty that I haven't talked to my friends in maybe 7 days. Sometimes I just want to curl up and watch 9 hours of Stranger Things. And great season. I feel like I'm a walking billboard up here. I don't mean to. It's the natural marketer in me, I think. I'm branding. I haven't even said one thing about YouTube, which is not good. Shout out to YouTube for paying my bills. Don't get me off track. Okay. But that took me a minute because hustle culture is real. So I was always oh my God, I'm not working on the weekend. Oh, I'm not up until midnight. I'm not answering my phone all the time, even when I'm out with my friends or my family. And I got to a point where I was what am I doing this for? Do I want to wake up one day and be oh, okay, I made it. I got the title, or, I got the salary, or I got the whatever, but I'm burnt out and lonely. So this is and I'm talking to you now is this is easy for me. It's not, and it's a realization I've really had to work on, especially over the last few years. But I had to get comfortable being comfortable, that was for me. And that for me, comfort means, yes, green juice, but also some Uber Eats takeout and another brand name, sorry. And just sitting sometimes and recharging, and that's okay. And everyone's journey is different, right? And that's what worked for me. But I would say whatever works for you, don't feel guilty about that. If that gives you energy, don't let hustle culture, what you see on the internet, make you feel like you should be doing something different. You know you, right? That's my take.
No, I love that. And something. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mention all those brand deals. Get the brand deals now. Who's here? Who's in the building?
See some hands.
I see Makeway. Oh yeah, of course I love Makeway. Let's go. There she is. There you are. There you are. Anyway, so yeah, no, it's so important to find rest, and I'll be so honest with you guys. Like, I only discovered the do not disturb button on my phone like in the past 3 months, and I've been using it like it's my best friend. Like, I only have like the certain people allowed to text me type of thing, like my boss, my direct boss, and like that's pretty much it. And after that, I'm like, everybody else can wait. And then I love what you mentioned, talking about what I call that girl on TikTok, the 5 a.m. girl that gets up, that goes to the gym. I don't know how they have the energy, because I'm a night person. But if you were to tell me kind of like, how do you honor your body?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like for you?
Well, my body and I have been on a very interesting journey together in the last 14 years, going from being a super athlete to needing someone to help you carry 5 pounds. Like, it is a mind trip, to say the least, but I still do physiotherapy twice a week. It's been something that has been really important to me. I am an eternal optimist, and I believe that one day with science that, hopefully there'll be really good advancements, and I want to make sure that my body is in the tip-top shape for that, if that ever becomes a thing. But beyond that, I think having been an athlete, moving your body is so therapeutic. And for me, when I'm able to get out of this stupid chair, it's so great. And it's really great for my mental health, and I didn't realize how much it meant to me until the pandemic hit, and I didn't see my therapist for a couple of months, and I was dying inside because I just wanted to get out of the chair and move around. So having that come back into my life was incredible, and something that is a non-negotiable for me twice a week. So I just try to do it as much as possible. And it's obviously different probably than the average person, but I do what I can with what I got.
Well, that's all. That's showing up as yourself. That's showing up in your own skin and recognizing what that looks like. It's interesting because I did see something on TikTok University teaches you a lot, eh?
It does.
Somebody mentioned that showing up as your best self might look like something different every single day. And sometimes it's just a participation mark. Yep. Okay? We're not looking for 1,000% energy here. Showing up at the gym might just be a participation. Doing physiotherapy could just be, listen, I'm here. I'm doing this for myself, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. That's literally all that matters. We're gonna move on to play number 2. Okay, this one's about your relationship with food. Hey, yo, you wanna clap? You be my guest. You can clap away. I'm here for food. Y'all heard that say food? You're like, food. Food. But for real, what we put in our bodies is crucial to staying alive. And so how we manage the micro and the macro intakes and impacts of how we nourish, recover, and refuel our bodies. We're talking about the micros and the macros here, okay? This is what this play is called, micros and macros. So we're gonna get into it because I think, especially as women in this room, we all have a certain relationship with food, good or bad, negative or positive. I think we've all been on a journey with that at some points in our lives. So let's talk about it. Tay, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna start with you this time.
Sure.
How do you take stock of your energy, and what's your go-to snack or supplement to refuel?
I did not know if you were gonna say refuel or say something bad.
What do you think I was gonna say?
Like the things the bad things you put in your body, but that's fine.
Oh. Chocolate? I love chocolate.
Wine?
Wine is not bad, yo.
Is
wine therapeutic? There you go. It's a fruit. I heard that.
My body's all excited. Don't mind my legs spasm sometimes. So
good.
We're just gonna. There we go. Thank you. So fueling my body is important because they say on average you can gain 3 to 5 pounds a year if you're not careful being in a wheelchair. So when I heard that statistic right away at the beginning, I was like, ooh, child, I can't do that. So and having been a gymnast, I was on a very, very, very strict eating regimen. So when I first had the opportunity to not do that, I went wild. I was like, Fruit Loops, yes. Like everything that I couldn't eat before, I was so excited about because I was so strict. Obviously, I gained a lot of weight, which was natural to happen. But I think just getting a better, healthy relationship with food was really important for me because I think being an athlete sometimes can cause body dysmorphia. I was 105 pounds and thought that you would have thought, mentally I thought I was like 180 pounds because I wasn't moving around. And nobody could tell me differently, even though I logically knew that wasn't right. But I got to a point where I'm like, I need to nourish my body and it's okay. And I guess I mentally kind of had the 80-20 thing where it's okay to eat bad a little bit, but also I need my body to be healthy to show up as my best self. So I found a balance as I've gotten older, but it did take me quite a bit of time. But I feel like I'm there now and I'm happy in the body that I'm in, so yeah.
That's incredible. 1 second. Can we just applaud that for a second? Because I don't think you guys understand how incredible that is. Because, I mean, as a former athlete myself as well, there was times where I was bedridden. I had I had knee surgery, and in that short time, it's not obviously you had your experience.
I had a knee injury too. It was
they're awful.
Borderline the worst. It was so hard. It was really hard. Yeah.
You can't walk. It's crazy.
I had a hip to ankle cast. It was super cute.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, super cute.
But it does make you kind of see your body in a different light, and it's so hard. So what you have overcome, and I don't know if this is still a journey for you, but already from what I'm hearing, what you've overcome is huge, because it really is a limiting self-belief when you are so in your body and you can't move the way that you would want to move, or you're used to moving in a sense.
Yeah.
So good for you. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
That's incredible. All right, I'm gonna go to you next. Hi.
Hi.
What's your go-to snack, supplement, and how do you take stock and refuel?
So I love to snack. I already told you guys I like to Uber Eats. Side note, but when the rewards pop up and they're like, stop doing that. I don't need, yes. If anyone here works for Uber Eats, stop doing that. But for me, I grew up, my parents were always really healthy, not limiting, but just really always made sure that we were mindful about what we put in our bodies. So that was always very natural for me, salads, etc. But as I got older, I'm really sharing with you guys here. You just make me feel so comfortable. I started developing endometriosis, and so with that came a lot of abdominal swelling, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong, and so I really had to take the control in my own hands. And outside of talking to doctors, I ended up going to a naturopath, and that has really set me on a great track, because I was doing supplements myself, for gut health and things that I still do recommend in my smoothies and stuff, like lucuma and ashwagandha and all of these different gut health supplements. But then I was I can't enjoy life the way I would want to. And that was really frustrating. And it's this double situation where you're dealing with the side effects of endometriosis, but then also how that impacts your diet and everything else about you. So it kind of forced me to take it up a level when it came to what I put into my body. And I appreciate it because, even though it's hard, because I like Domino's pizza or whatever, I know, sorry. I was the, so I'm just not gonna stop, just bear with me. I will, all my favorite things. But so I like pizza, no name, just like everybody else, but I had to force myself to be really prescriptive about what was going into my body and what I was reading on the ingredient labels. And honestly, I was thinking I don't know if I probably won't do this, but I love the idea. And if somebody out there wants to do it, I would love for somebody to open up some sort of restaurant that is so clean in terms of what is in the food, because it's actually amazing through this journey that I've been on to see all of the stuff that's in the food that even you think is really healthy. So hard to do, but I'm glad that I'm doing it. And so now I've had to cut out things like soy and dairy, all of the things, wheat. So I'm rambling at this point, but changing your diet is no joke, and it's really hard when you go out to functions and things, and you're like, oh, I can't eat this. But I know that the payoff for how I will feel later is going to be worth it. And the changes that it's already taken shape in like other elements of my health, like my endometriosis, for example, has been huge. And diet and everything else that happens in your body are completely intertwined. So it's been an eye-opening experience, to say the least.
So to piggyback on that, 75% of your immune system is in your gut, right? So if you don't take care of your gut, then it can show up in your body in multiple ways, right? So similar to you, Alyssa, I'm in my late 40s. And I'm forever 21, and after you reach 40, your body changes, right? Things change, things slow down, and you have to adjust, right? You have to adjust to what your body needs in that moment, in that time. And so you make those adjustments, right? You stop the gluten, you stop the dairy, you add the supplements, you drink your green juice that tastes like Home Depot Garden Center, and you convince yourself that it's good for you and you like it. But what I try not to do is feel guilty about food, right? Because that's a whole nother level of stress that you're introducing into your body. And food, if you think about it, it brings people together, right? It's culturally diverse, right? So if you just embrace what you're putting into your body and know that you can put a little bit into it and control your portions, you can still enjoy it guilt-free, and it won't come along with all that negative side of what effects and stress that it could also induce, right? So I try not to feel guilty of the dessert I'm gonna have, that 20%, right? Or the bag of chips I'm eating, watching Stranger Things good season, right, with my family, yeah, right? So, and I'm gonna go through the whole bag of chips, right? So if my kids don't get to it first. But so I think don't feel guilty, right? Just be aware and control how much, right? Because you can do that. And then in that moment in your journey, do what's best for you then. Yeah.
I love that. No, that's awesome. It's so incredible that, like, as women, how we all have this journey and we all want to try the green juice at some point and convince ourselves that it's good, when it's really just like whatever you want to fuel your body with that makes you feel good. I know that, like, at least for me personally, like, food is a direct reflection of sometimes my mood. Mm-hmm. Like, and it depends on also, let's be real, the time of the month. Yeah. Like, I know when my period's coming because I probably had a big chocolate bar before. But I also want to talk a little bit about, like, the micro and the macro aggressive behavior when it comes to especially women and our diet and what we're taught, but more so how can we show up for each other when we're going through this negative headspace of our food relation. Like, so for an example that's just coming off to my head right now is, I have a younger sister. She's absolutely beautiful. She's currently in college for a full track and field scholarship. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Track and field, yo. She goes to Boston University. She's killing it. She's one of the best. I'm going to brag about this. This is my first. I'm going to brag about my sister. She's one of the best, like, track and field athletes. She does all the jumps, and she's, like, top freshman in D1. So she's killing it, as you know, as with your own career as well. But she mentioned something to me about how her track athletes, they have awful relationships with food in terms of what they eat, and the lighter you are, the faster you move, the higher you jump. And she's going through her own transition in her body of between building muscle and strength versus staying in a certain figure to make sure she competes well in her sport. And I told her, this is how I showed up for my little sister because I wanted to make sure, and this is what I think that we all should be doing as well. I told her, I was like, change your sport, not your body. If it ever comes to that point where you feel like you have to starve yourself and it's beyond your diet control, you're athletic, girl. Like, go do something else. Trust me, you'll find another gig. So that's something that, like, I remember telling her about. How would you show up for somebody else who's struggling with that balance of, I want to eat clean, I want to be a certain weight, but it's not always tangible.
I I always go with the saying, will I care about this particular moment in a year from now? And if the answer is no, then I just do it. Because honestly, you spend so much time worrying about the food or worrying about the meal, and the worry and the stress of that anxiety is almost worse than taking that 200 or 300 more calories that you thought that you shouldn't have. And I advocate so much for athletes, especially young athletes, because you are conditioned from such a young age to have such a poor relationship with food. Like, I can't even tell you, it was so difficult for me to eat bread post-injury because I just was like, I never could eat this. We would literally travel the world with our coaches, and they would be our caregivers, and we'd go to a restaurant, and immediately, as soon as we sit down, I was so used to hearing when the server came around, they'd be like, yeah, don't even bother bringing bread to the table, or everyone here will get a chicken salad, or I was so used to being ordered for or told right away that when I went to a first restaurant and I could order anything I wanted, the first thing I ordered was a chicken salad and told them not to bring the bread, and they're like, oh, okay. You didn't even look at the menu, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my life, this is how I think. And I think just getting out of that was so healthy for me, but I've seen, gymnastics is probably one of the worst sports for it, but I've seen the worst of the worst girls who were literally surviving on cheese and yogurt, and that was it. And it's devastating, but I think when we talk more openly about it, it really does help. And I talk probably too openly about all the things that I've gone through and all the dark periods. But I just hope it helps someone else realize you can have a healthy relationship with food and be a bomb athlete at the same time. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I love that. No, like honestly, like that's real. And what you just shared there is what a lot of, I feel like, female athletes especially go through, being ordered for, and like and making sure that you were of a certain weight and of a certain like thing.
Oh yeah, we got weighed like 3 to 4 times a week. So
oh my
that was also a weird thing that I had to stop doing. Well, I had the chair stop me, but I would always be so paranoid about the weight, because if you went up even like 0.2, it was a discussion, like a full-on pulled out of the group discussion. What did you eat this week that made you gain weight? And I'm like, I'm going through puberty, like leave me alone. But yeah, they didn't see it that way at all.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And that's more than just a physical conversation. That plays on your emotions and your self-worth.
Yeah. Oh, the whole gambit. I probably need more therapy if I'm being honest, but yeah.
No. Well, this is why we can have an open discussion about this, because I'm for sure this is stuff that we've all thought about or had crossed our minds at some point in our lives as well. But what was your like relationship with food in terms of like, you know, giving support to your female colleagues as well?
This conversation is really interesting because you can give advice all you want, but the person you're giving advice to is not going to receive it if they don't believe it. And it might sound really idealistic to say, but it does start with societal standards. So having these conversations are monumentally important because we, first of all, most of us here are women, right? We know what we're going through. We know how we want to feel good about ourselves, but yet we still feel like we need to hold ourselves to a certain standard. And like, why is that? I don't know. We were talking about this earlier, like breaking the mold. Like I was talking, a side note, but I think it's still relevant to this point. I was saying, you know, as a woman who's really into my career, I'm nervous about eventually having kids, and we can get into that later. But I was asking for advice about it, and you said, why do you need to break the mold? You can create the reality that you want. And I was like, oh, yeah, what an aha moment. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to your body. I mean, easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not sitting here preaching like I don't have those own insecurities myself. But I think to give somebody advice is a challenging thing to do when the larger group of us are all reaching towards this idealistic standard. And also that idealistic standard is different for everybody. You can have like, you know, the Kim Kardashians, but then you could also have the like Chanel Imans or like, you know, and so I think it's something that each one of us are going to have to really do the work on ourselves and feel okay with whatever it is that we look like, whatever it is that we want to eat, you know, how we want to show up in society. And again, easier said than done, but I think if we keep having these conversations, you know, then hopefully, I'm an optimist too, hopefully we can start breaking these cycles and just be there. Because, like, look at all of you guys in the room. Like, stunning. And no one's gonna tell like me otherwise. But you might be walking down the street being like, I feel like shit, but you look effing amazing, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think if we're going to cancel any culture, it's the culture that perpetuates that stereotype of women have to be a certain way. Female athletes have to be a certain way. And, you know, that starts with us, right? Because we as a woman, we as the athlete have to put our foot down and say, no, I can do this better. I can do this the right way. And as a healthcare provider, you know, there's so many people out there that are advocating for that, right? For athletes, for women to eat well and do it right and safe, right? So, you know, obviously for me, it's easy for me to refer out to somebody. You know, we have great staff with our athletes, you know, but it's really, everyone Google searches everything, so it's easy enough to find someone to support you or know someone who can refer you to that, right? But I definitely think it's time to cancel that culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because also the culture is a moving target anyways. Like, as you guys mentioned, like, one day it's the Kardashians, another day it's like whoever else, right? It's like the early 2000s is back, unfortunately, guys. The low-rise jeans. Holy, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But before we jump into our next play, we do have a giveaway. I feel like Oprah right now. You get a card. So for our gifting supporter, we have 6 lucky attendees tonight that will be making some incredible, that will be making off with some incredible items this evening. First up, courtesy of the NBA, shout out to the NBA, we have 2 limited editions of Cup of Tea starter kits celebrating the NBA's 75th anniversary. It's the perfect cup of tea for rookies or tea MVPs. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So this was, of course, created by our lovely panelist, Taylor. Congrats to the winners, Olivia Ho. You're right in my line of sight, too. I can see you. And Rochelle Ortega. Congrats, guys. That's awesome. I'm a tea fanatic myself, so that's incredible. You can pick up your prizes at the gifting tables. I don't know where that is in the room exactly. It's over there, at the front. Somewhere in the front, guys.
P.S. Shout out to the NBA. This was like a collaboration I never thought possible, and it was so fun to do. And yeah, I'm just happy. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Absolutely. Okay, play number 3, self-awareness. I think we kind of like touched on this a little bit on play number 1, but let's get into the thick of things now. First things first, though, are you guys feeling okay? You guys are good? How you guys doing? Yeah? This is a lot, yo. It's a lot. I feel so good being so open and candid with you guys, and like, feel free to come up to me, like, at the end of this, come up to any one of our panelists, share your thoughts if anything resonated. We also have a Q&A at the end, so save all your thoughts and questions. Make sure you write them down. All right, self-awareness. So how we move around people and circumstances with intention, accountability, and self-reflection. Self-awareness is an understanding of our values, behaviors, limitations, triggers, and boundaries. Woo-wee, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. That is a lot. So this is an open conversation. This is for everybody, so I'm not even going to try to throw it to nobody. I'm going to start with you, though. But then afterwards, you guys could just jump right on in, okay? Yeah. So self-awareness means recognizing our strengths and challenges. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest learning, personal or professional, that you have had about yourself?
Working well with others. I have always been an independent person. So having a business, starting a business was great for me. I'm like, yes, I can do what I want. I don't have a boss. This is amazing. But then, as things go, if your business does well, you got to have other people around to help you. And that, for me, has and continues to be a learning curve, because it's your child, it's your baby, it's Cup of Tea for me is something that was birthed out of not getting a sponsor for my podcast. I wanted David's Tea to sponsor my podcast, Tea Time with Tay, and they never answered my email. So I was like, screw you, I'm starting my own company. And now we're one of their biggest competitors. So that's how my mind thinks. So having to share my child with someone else is very difficult. But I've slowly learned that the Amazons of the world, the NBAs of the world, they don't run by themselves. Like Zuckerberg isn't doing all the little things every day that all these amazing people do to make these amazing companies run. So I had to have that realization with myself that if I want my business to get to the level that I know that it could be and is getting to, that I need help, and I need to be able to trust that other people have other expertise, which they do, certainly do, that I don't. And expanding that has been amazing. It's given me more time back to myself, and I'm in the process of a new learning curve right now, expanding into our first retail location. And again, just putting
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, that's huge.
Putting more trust into people is interesting, but I'm going with the flow and allowing myself to share.
Is this your first business?
This is my first business, yeah.
Congrats, because having a first successful business is insane.
Well, I will say I've done little things here and there. Like I used to secretly drop ship wine accessories. Like I've tried a few things here and there, but nothing that was like my own everything. Like this is truly my child, so.
Yeah, so first business, she makes the Oprah 2020 list, casually. Okay, I said I'm not gonna throw it. But the question to bring it back was, what's the biggest learning you've had professionally or personally?
My leg's kicking, it's so excited to hear your answer. Thank you.
Now the pressure is on.
Yes.
I would say learning now, there's three. One is, and I mentioned it earlier, to feel comfortable being comfortable. And what I mean by that is for me personally, I've always felt the need to go and overextend myself and feel like I'm about to explode, because if I don't, is the rug going to be pulled out from under me? And actually through therapy, I learned that a big part of that is where I came from. So I'm from Windsor. It's a blue collar city. I'm one of the first people in my family to have a university degree. My parents are incredible. They paid for my schooling for myself and my brother, but they don't have university education. So everything that they gave me was them going out of their way to make themselves better for me as a generation, and then so on and so forth. I get emotional when I talk about it, because I stand on the shoulders of some really incredible people in really amazing generations who have had to go through a lot of stuff. My family's actually from, I was saying this earlier, we settled in Windsor because they're from the Underground Railroad. But with that comes a lot of generational trauma. And that has carried through, and it might not be, at this point in where we are in the generation directly from slavery, but the things that have been learned behaviors have stemmed from that. And so I was actually chatting about this with my mom and her sisters, because we've had a lot of family trauma. And I will get back to the point, but I just want to set up, we've had a lot of family trauma, and the way that they have all learned to deal with it is to just keep going. Strong Black women, and that was it. And you keep it moving, and no one's going to take nothing from you, And so for me, that was learned behavior. And it was a little bit of a double-edged sword, because it's what propelled me to keep working hard and not take anything for granted. And it's not lost on me thank God where I am in my career, but with that comes so much pressure. And I'm putting it on myself, but that comes with a lot of pressure of not wanting to fail my family, not wanting to fail the people who have done everything that they have to get me to where I am. And so I had to learn that it's okay
to just be still. You don't need to keep going 200 miles an hour because you think the rug is going to be pulled out from you. You do not need to have what was I forget what it was called, but like guilt, for survivor's guilt for like getting out, or and that was a huge realization. And I'm speaking about this candidly because I'm sure a few people in this room are probably feeling the same way, and I wish that someone had shared that with me as well, because as Black women, that is a very common thing. So that is number one. And then number two is learning to set boundaries for myself. And that is kind of like in the realm of being comfortable. But that means like, I'm gonna have to be okay with some things falling through the cracks. I'm gonna have to be okay with some people being disappointed in me because I'm gonna have to be okay with me being disappointed in myself, and that's probably the biggest one. And it's a lot of hard work, but I'm looking at this as like the long game. And if I wanna, continue advancing my generation and also send the elevator back down for other women of color, I gotta put my life mask on first. So that is like a big part of what I'm leaning into right now.
Yes. Yeah. So good.
So many gems there. Go ahead.
I know.
Go right ahead.
You know what? We're just gonna drop the mics now.
Yeah.
Actually, we're done.
Who's that next question?
Should be taking notes.
No, absolutely. Well, it's, in terms of what I've learned, and it's funny because I actually am kind of in that generation where those biases that, of being strong and continue to grow, those are ingrained in me for the forever 21 years of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I struggle with that still, to let go and ease off. But if there's something that I learned and I would like to share with everyone here, it's you are stronger than you think.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I am stronger than I thought. The intersections of my life, being a woman, being a Muslim woman, a woman of color. I'm married to a Guyanese Black man, so having a biracial relationship or interracial relationship and having biracial children. When I was growing up, I was impacted by racism, being impacted by being a woman, but I would say physically I am stronger than I thought. I'm 5 feet, 100 and something pounds, and I work with 7-foot men, right? Mentally, I am stronger than I thought. I choose to be happy, right? Not because everything is good, because I choose to see good in everything. Right? I am spiritually stronger than I thought. I am emotionally stronger than I thought. With the NBA and having displaced to Orlando and Tampa, and I left my family here, I got through it. We got through it. As a family, we got through it. So I know I'm stronger than I thought, and I want everyone here to know that you are stronger than you think. Yeah.
Literally have chills. Like, I'm not even kidding you. I have chills by the fact that you brought that up, because just a little fun fact about me, I don't have any tattoos. But if I was to get one tattoo, this has been on my mind since literally first year university when I got that knee injury. I was gonna get a quote tatted, "You are stronger than you think."
Yeah.
That's why I'm freaking out up here right now. I'm like, she did not just say that. She did not just say that. That's the one quote that sticks with me every single day. Get it?
Do it! I have 3. Yes.
Right? Oh yeah, any tattoo artist.
I know a good one.
Okay,
I got you.
I'll hit you up after. But one thing that Alyssa, that you pointed out that was, I think, so impactful. This is such a great conversation. I'm sorry, I'm like up here like, wow, holding it all in. But you mentioned generational trauma. And I think that resonates with like everybody in this room to some extent. I look at the beautiful, diverse faces, and I'm sure we've had our own battles and what our family has been able to carry and what's been passed down to us, and that doesn't make it right. Then that's why we talk about mental health, we talk about therapy, because when I think about generational trauma, I think about generational curses.
Yeah. Oh.
And I always think it stops with me, not passing it down. Bringing down the elevator to the next generation, That's it. We're not going past me, and I'm going to deal with it now to heal our future as well. So thank you for bringing up all those amazing points in this discussion already. This next question is a really good question, actually. I'd be very interested to hear what everybody has to think about this. But Zara, I'll start with you this time. We'll go around this way. How do you set boundaries? Personal ones?
So sometimes I struggle with this still, but I'm a big energy person, right? And
Yes.
In the workplace or even in an outside environment, I try to be around positive, peaceful energy, right? That's what feeds me and fills my tank. And, you don't have to be friends with everyone you work with, right? I think you have to have common courtesy and human decency, but you don't have to be friends, and if someone doesn't vibe with my energy a certain way, it's okay, right? It's fine. You're gonna have courtesy, you're gonna have humanity and respect to that level, and then I choose to just be away from that, right? Even if it means in that moment I'm by myself, in my own peaceful energy, positive energy. It's okay, right? So how do I set my boundaries? That's what I do. I just avoid negative energy. Yeah, I walk away.
That's good.
Yeah, it's simple.
It's hard.
No,
it's easy. Yeah, it's harder than.
It's harder than you think, but it's really just simple. Just walk away. Yeah. You don't have to engage. You don't have to, right?
Yeah.
If you do engage, it's your choice, and then be ready for it, right? Be ready for it if you're going to engage.
The other thing is that people disrespect your boundaries and they don't like it when you stand by your boundaries.
Yes. So that's also definitely something, especially women of color, have to deal with for sure.
Yeah.
But hopefully, with this momentum of self-care, we can start to voice that a little bit more. It's definitely a strong, brave conversation to have.
Yeah.
And not easy, but you shouldn't feel scared to advocate for yourself, right? When once again, like I have trouble doing it. I can open up a lot easier to a room of people like me, than people not like me. Right? And maybe it's my defense mechanism in terms of walking away. Maybe it could be, right? Because I don't want to engage. But that's me protecting my energy, my boundaries, and if I don't have it in me that moment to deal with that, then I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to deplete myself for that if I'm not ready for it. That doesn't mean I'm not ready to fight for the right causes.
Absolutely.
Right? You're definitely, if you want to throw the gloves down, I'm going to throw the guns down. You want to take me on, let's take me on, right? When I'm ready for it. Mm-hmm. But you have to be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But what always gets me, and I'm sure that a lot of, let me just say it, angry black women, right? How many times have we heard this when we're talking about setting boundaries, and if we are not afraid to vocalize how somebody's making us feel or crossing our boundaries, we're seen as the angry black woman. That's what gets me every single time when I think about boundary setting as well. It's like, if I write this email, am I coming across a certain way? And I stopped caring, honestly, at this point. I'm too tired. I'm too tired. At this point, I'm like, if I'm blunt, I'm blunt. Because I know if I look different, if I was a different gender, if I was more lighter, then maybe this wouldn't come across as aggressive. But because I am the way I am, and I'm biracial, but I mostly identify as a black woman, I'm very aware of the stereotype there as well, but I would like to know how you have dealt with that as well. How have you set your boundaries, Alyssa?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit already about like the comfort thing and kind of like logging off. But for me, what I've been trying to do recently is like get to the core of why do I need to set a boundary? Like what is it at the core of that I'm like, this is causing me to halt? Because boundaries is such a wide word, right? Like you could have boundaries with your family, you could have boundaries at work, you could have boundaries with yourself. How you identify your boundaries and how you deal with those boundaries usually comes, at least for me, from identifying why that boundary is needed. So if it's, I'm automatically feeling like, oh my God, if my phone bleeps one more time, I'm gonna throw it across the room. Well, why? am I really overwhelmed with work? Like, this isn't a specific situation, but I'm just saying, like, am I really overwhelmed with work? Okay, well, what do I need to do so that I could feel like I can manage the situation? My mom, if she's calling me, why am I not answering, you know? Maybe I need to take some space from my mom for a minute because she's being too much, you know? But what's the bigger root cause of that? So really self-reflecting on why I need to create that boundary also usually helps me identify how I create that boundary and how I stick to it for better or for worse.
And boundaries for me, I've been really proud of myself. It's been something I've worked on this last year. I've been moving out of my family home for the first time, so it was really exciting to have my own space.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Look at opening a store, having her own place.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. But one of the things is I had to set boundaries because from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I go to sleep, like it's actually extremely rare I'm not here with someone today. I am around people 24/7, whether I want to be or not. I don't have the luxury of like escaping and going for even an hour drive to go get groceries by yourself. Like I have zero alone time in every sense of the word. So I found myself getting to a point where if someone even were to text me hi, like it might take me 7 to 10 business days to get back to you. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, why is that so difficult? Why is that so difficult to return this message? It will take me 30 seconds. But I'm like, it's 30 seconds I already don't have for myself. And I think a couple of months ago, I think I posted on my Instagram story, and I said, if you are not hearing from me right now, it has absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with me and needing my own peace. And I think people were really receptive to that, like, you know, that flare signal I sent out because the messages were piling up, but in doing so, people were giving me more grace. And I think just also being more open with my friends to say, I love you so much, but I love me and my mental health. And that was a really, really empowering moment. And my way of setting boundaries in a life that is keeping me bounded. So in discovering that, it was quite life-changing. But I do answer messages, but it takes, you gotta catch me on a good time. Gotta catch me on a good time.
But I love that you have that there, and you also vocalize on your Instagram story. It's like,
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Oh, I do it like
It's
every
not
3
you.
months. Every 3 months is a reminder. Like,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Still going through it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So many great conversations already, but like we have to move on to our fourth play. So that's pause and pivot. I love this one. It's how you rise and how you conquer. If we've learned anything over the past few years, over the 2 global pandemics, yes, I said 2 global pandemics. You guys know what they are, right? I'm not going to explain this. Of course, 1 BLM, the recognition of BLM, I should say, or 2, obviously, that little thing called COVID. Have increased the importance of being agile, and now life is a journey of iterations where we chart a path, pause, evaluate, and continuously reassess our focus to determine how we pivot and move forward. So Zara, I'm gonna go to you with this one because the pandemic literally changed the landscape of the NBA. What was the overall impact of your time in the life in your role? Because you also started open dialogue as well.
That's a deep question.
Right?
Yeah.
So the pandemic laid bare the systemic inequalities and inequities, that BIPOC people face, right? Open Dialogue Canada is a nonprofit that I started with 2 other healthcare providers. One is Elise Clark, a biracial massage therapist, and the other one is Joanne Oposidolo, who's a physiotherapist, and she's right here. She's my person today. She is a fabulous physiotherapist, and she actually focused on women's pelvic health for BIPOC women. So if you want to chat with her after, please do so. She's amazing. So we, as healthcare providers, during this double pandemic, we started a conversation, about our experiences as
in the healthcare, who we treat, how we treat. And what we wanted to do is increase the cultural lens of care, right, for people. And as healthcare providers, we have a direct impact on the health and well-being of the people we serve, right? Regardless if you're a yoga instructor or orthopedic surgeon, I have a direct impact on you, right? And so what we wanted to do is bring awareness and knowledge and dialogue into this platform that we founded as Open Dialogue Canada to become better providers of high quality, equitable care for the BIPOC community, right? So, if this means identifying cultural biases, as a care provider, if this means celebrating, the impacts of Black, Indigenous, people of color in the medical field, we wanted to provide that platform to do that. And I would say the overall impact of that time is, during that time, I think I thought about my boys a lot, right? I have 2 teenage boys who are always hungry, and but they're amazing and they're beautiful, and the desire as a mother to want a better world for them helped galvanize my push, or galvanized and pushed us with Open Dialogue, to make a difference, right? Make the world a better place for my children, for your children, for all children, right? We need that. And I guess what we want to do collectively, as healthcare providers, is be architects of a new narrative, a new vision that ultimately honors the dignity and uniqueness of every human being. And here I am today, pushing that forward. Yeah.
That's incredible, because there's such little, I feel like, even research or commentary on healthcare for BIPOC communities in general. And I think about the stat that I heard as well, how especially I think of Black women in particular, but I'm sure it goes across the board for a lot of POC people, is the fact that apparently in the healthcare system they receive less attention because they think that their pain tolerance is higher.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that speaks to me that you have your own BIPOC focused healthcare system that can acknowledge those issues and treat them accordingly as well. So
Right.
incredible.
If we become aware of these discrepancies, then we can provide better care, right?
Absolutely. Because we are getting a little shorter on time, unfortunately. Oh, guys, I know, we gotta keep it moving. We have one more plate to get to after this, but Taylor, I am gonna get to you right now. I wanna talk to you about, what advice would you have for those who are looking to change gears and move into new spaces as you've done yourself?
Yeah, I've done that a lot. I don't like to stay stagnant. I am constantly doing something new. For instance, I decided to try to get myself out of the house after being in a pandemic and working from home for 2 years, and doing accessibility reviews of places in Toronto. And this week I had my 5th video ever posted hit 1 million views, and now it's literally become a new job for me. So yeah, and so in doing things, I think also in finding different ways to be creative is imperative to my growth as a person. I've went to school for radio and television arts and somehow ended up in the tea industry. So to find myself doing creative things again has been so important, I think. And also I think being open to pivoting is imperative to developing yourself as a person. I never thought I would end up here, but I know all the different paths and turns I've taken have landed me in the position that I am I am genuinely so happy as a person now, and I never thought I would really be able to with my whole chest be able to say that, and I say it and I know it and I believe it, and it's true, and that's from pivoting. So.
I love that. That's incredible. Incredible. Alyssa, we're going to move to you for this last question in this play, and then we have a giveaway, guys, so stay tuned for the giveaway, yo. Alyssa, you work in the creator space within YouTube. There's lots of creators, I'm sure, even in this room right now. It's something that hits close to home for me because I love my TikTok. Not YouTube, I'm sorry. But TikTok. But either way, regardless of the platform, it's been known across the board that certain algorithms prioritize women who look a certain way instead of maybe BIPOC women all the time. Tell us about your experience working with and elevating creators and trends, or advice that you have for for those who are looking to translate into this space.
Yeah, so I work in an industry that, I love being a marketer, but unfortunately it is predominantly white. It's getting better on the female front, but it's predominantly white males. And I kind of navigated through my career. Actually, fun fact, didn't go to school for marketing. It kind of just fell into it, but I started in comms and I have a psych background. And I was going through the industry and looking around and I was like, well, how come I don't see people that look remotely like me? Like, why am I the one token person in the room all of the time? And then I got to the realization of, well, if I want people around me to look like me or to look not like, a white male, well, then what am I doing about it? So that has been a huge motivating factor for me in my career and for me working in marketing, and what I find a lot of joy in, because I am in the seat of managing brand images and have been for several brands. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but when I tell you I've had to go to like VPs and explain why I need to have a woman in our campaign that's wearing a hijab because they've never done that before. And had to pull out the stats, which is absurd, and make it like a business case. This is not a pat on my back. I'm just saying that for me, it is so important to say to aspiring marketers, creators, if you want the world to look like you, make the world look like you. And it's why I'm so passionate about the Send the Elevator Back Down, because it's a hard road up. And if you want to go up that road with people who relate to you, that's going to make all of the difference. So when it comes to marketers or creators, it's really, really important for me to ensure that not only we're like checking boxes with putting people into these, roles, or that's actually my biggest pet peeve that came out of DEI, and I'm like diverting a bit. But in marketing, it was like, oh, okay, well, like what black model are we gonna put in the campaign? And you're like, but do you even know why you're putting a black model in the campaign? What does that mean? Tell me what diversity, equity, and inclusion means. I cannot explain to you how many agencies I had fumble over that answer, a lot. And it was like one person told me, well, they had a black seat at a table, and that was symbolic of, anyways, I digress, but, and now I'm getting off topic. I don't even remember the question. I'm so annoyed, but anyways, there needs to be more representation in the industry, but it is, I would love to sit here and say, like, the onus isn't on us. And I don't think that it should be on us, but there is an opportunity for us to step into what we want to do and make our presence heard. And it's not to say that none of you here are doing that already, but it's you're up against these norms that have been in the industry for a really, really long time, and those are hard things to break down. So if you're in it, and if you're interested in this, I will personally give you my email and phone number, because it's going to, I hate saying this, but it's going to start with us, and it's also going to end with us, though, and it's going to take work, and that's just the reality. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. A literal black seat at a table?
I can't. I've had so many, but you know what, though? You know what's sad is, if I wasn't in those rooms, I wouldn't be able to be like, what the hell do you mean, right? I wouldn't be able to catch those conversations, but I also wouldn't be able to work with my company to figure out a way around that. And that was a huge realization, if you want to talk about BLM, because, and you said it, people didn't know that it was like a thing before, right? It was like recognition of it. And you're like, what the hell do you mean? Where have you been? And because I'm in a predominantly white environment, I had to step off my own soapbox and be like, okay, maybe this is a teachable moment. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to make an impact, because when I tell you my phone was blowing up, my husband had to like tell people, stop calling her. But I realized I was the only black person they knew. How messed up is that? And so then I had to, but I really saw that as a teachable moment. So, sorry, keep moving. Thank you. That's my rant.
Okay, well, on that note, we will keep it moving. But I appreciate you sharing that, and I honestly, like, listen, these conversations we could have for like 16 hours, like, so I appreciate you guys and listening and being patient, and also, like, you know, I hope this is relating to you as well, like, this is real. We're gonna have another giveaway. This time it's a customized pack walker travel bag to keep you moving with your four-legged friend, generously provided by the Alpine Dog Company. I love dogs. A local business turned international success by Mark and Natalie, who created the ideal product for large breeds, combining style, comfort, and durability. If you're having a bit of FOMO, the bags are featured in giveaways. They're also 20% off on the websites until tomorrow, so I encourage you to connect with Mark for more information on that and the brand. So without further ado, the winners of that is Gail Lynch and Natalie Gordon. Congrats. You can also pick up your prize at the table. Now we do have an audience Q&A right after this. We'll get to that, I'm sure, shortly. But let's just jump into play number 5. Honestly, let's just dive into like one question and really get to the thick of things. And then I want to hear all the audience's questions and really have an open conversation about that. This is celebrating our wins. Let's end on a high note, guys. This is a great conversation because I think it's hard to sometimes pause and really be like, yeah, I did that. That me. That me. But yeah, for our best self, celebrating our wins could look like multiple different things. It could be just taking care of yourself through drinking water or drinking a glass of wine, in my opinion. Or just getting a good sleep, like 7 to 8 hours, starting in the morning, or with meditation or breathing or digital detox at night that we've kind of talked about as well. So let's just keep it open. Let's just like put a pretty bow on this, guys. Zara, how do you celebrate your wins?
I'll keep it very simple, right? Just for the sake of moving on. Gratitude, right? Gratitude is like the highest emotional state of having, right? When you're grateful, it's because you have something, you've received something. There's no loss or lack in gratitude. So if you really are grateful, you have, right? And that's how I celebrate the wins, just gratitude. Yeah.
I love that.
Also gratitude, and I think with that it's looking at the silver linings, which you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
I think to celebrate the wins means to also appreciate some of the failures. And I'm personally a big proponent of even the hard stuff you go through is a lesson you're supposed to be going through. So that it makes celebrating the wins that much easier.
I celebrate the wins first by having a glass of wine.
Yes.
And then second by I'm the result of other women speaking up for me and helping me through my journey. So I always try, if I enter a new room, to speak up for someone else in a room of opportunity. And so often those relationships help to build even further. So it's a win-win for everyone. But wine first, always.
Wine first, always. Always wine first. No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
This was
Thank
incredible. A lot of questions? Yeah, no, I was gonna say we can get to the questions right now. Tanya's ready, yo. Tanya's ready. Anybody have questions for our amazing panelists up here tonight? Don't be shy. They don't bite. Hey.
Is this on? Hello? Perfect. I'm wondering if I could pick your brains in terms of taking up space in the workplace as a woman of color. I'm in this kind of new era where, like, yes, I'm going to do it. This is the year I'm going to take up space. And then I get there in these meetings and I still am like, okay, wait, how do I bring this presence into a physical meeting or into a virtual call? So if anyone has any like tips or techniques on how to take up space in the workplace.
Do you want me to? I can take
Go
that
ahead.
one. I'm going to start with taking up space as a Black woman because that's incredibly hard. And I think even more under a microscope right now, like, on the back of BLM. And there's almost a bit of an expectation of how are you going to show up as a Black woman because now you're here, right? And that was at least my personal experience. So I think there's an opportunity for you to educate, and that might sound like a really big thing to say, but it's incredibly needed because if you are walking in to something where the expectation is already put on you as like you must perform or you must do this, plus you have the extra weight of, and I'm just assuming here, but like you have the extra weight of being a Black woman in the workplace or in the boardroom, and I can guarantee, please keep me honest, that you're probably there's not many, right, that look like you around you. It's really, really important for you to level set with people and say, there's an extra burden on me that you don't see. There's an extra pressure on me that you don't see. So you might walk into the room, and not you, like somebody on your team might walk into the room and say, I'm really stressed about work, but you have to wake up, be stressed about work, and then be stressed about how you're showing up in the workplace. So for me, I really held that on my shoulders, and I tried to, be everything they wanted me to be as a Black female in the workplace. And that weight became really heavy. And so I took that opportunity to say, if you were serious about the conversations that we were having a few months ago, here's how you can help me. And that was really hard to be vulnerable, but I'm telling you, it was transformative for not just me, but for my entire team. And I said, the onus is not on me. The onus is on every single person on this team, and I need you to, diffuse that tension. And so it helped them understand where I was coming from. It helped them understand the pressure, and it also helped them be solution-oriented about how to help me navigate through the work industry. And and then I'll wrap. But a big part of being a female in the workplace, but also a female of color in the workplace, is retention. And there's really high stats on it. And the reason being is because companies want to check the box and get people of color in the room, but they don't know what the hell to do with us when we're in. So having an open dialogue and being vulnerable, at least for me, has been really, really transformational and has started to create some really awesome conversations. So, if you're comfortable, that would be my recommendation for you as well.
COVID coming and ruining my life pretty much. It canceled a lot of events, right? So now I feel like I'm giving up. Like I feel like I lost hope. And like try to continue. And how did you guys, especially how did you working with the NBA, how did you continue or bounce back after? Because I feel like I just don't have it in me right now. I find it super hard. So how did you keep up or keep,
Sorry, you said you're a host that you...
Oh, sorry. My name is Nadine. I'm Nadine of all trades.
Nadine?
Instagram. Anyways. Yeah, so I'm a host and I also do admin, whatever. And like I said, COVID kind of killed me doing supporting people in other companies or doing gigs. I had a couple gigs lined up, and then COVID came and ruined it. And those are my breakout moments, you know what I mean? And now I feel like it's harder, and I just kind of want to give up because it seems harder after COVID or something.
Is that give up on being a host? On everything?
Girl, don't give up.
Don't give up, but also easier said than done.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge that your experience through COVID and the other pandemic that happened is not a joke. It's a huge, huge thing. And with that comes a lot of stress. With that comes maybe a lot of insecurity. With that probably came some depths of yourself that you didn't even know existed before. So you don't have to feel crappy about that because you are human, I think what not giving up means is first understanding why you want to give up in the first place, but also where you want to be, and take it one step at a time. You're not going to be able to just all of a sudden get to your North Star overnight. It takes a lot of work, and I don't want to tell you what that work looks like for you. For me, it was therapy. Right? For me, it was understanding, actually, I have anxiety, I have generational trauma, I have all these things. I'm not Superwoman, I'm human, and it's okay to feel hurt. And I'm saying that to you as a person who's still trying to figure out, am I comfortable saying that I'm hurt? So I'm really in awe that I'm saying this to a room full of people right now, but don't give up. because there is light at the end of the tunnel, but you're not gonna hit that tunnel overnight, so be patient with yourself, because you've been through a lot of shit. Sorry, I don't know if I could swear.
No. Yeah, that's okay. I don't think there's much children in the crowd here. We're
Yeah.
alcohol. The only thing I'll just tag onto that real quick is the fact that a similar experience when the pandemic hit, like everything kind of fell on the ground for me as well. Like I was working at CBC, all the shows got cut. I was working with the Toronto Raptors as a freelancer. Everything got cut. And so I totally hear you. I 100% understand what that feeling was. I was sitting in my bathtub drinking wine for a month at my parents' place. Like, I was like, I don't know what to do now. But the one thing that really helped me was create. Like, and express that however you could express that. I started with literally physically creating like drawings, and like that was my way of being creative again, finding a different passion and stuff like that. But then full circle moment came back when I was pitching, hey, we don't have any WNBA shows. We don't have, and so that ended up leading to me creating my own Instagram story, like of the top 5 draft picks of WNBA women that you should be watching, and where that's going to be located. And fast forward a year, I have a WNBA show on NBA TV Canada, and thank you. But that's not for me to say that like, you know, go whoa me. No, I understand what that feels like. So girl, just get out there, start creating, start pitching, talk to me. Literally talk to me. We can talk. Okay?
And sometimes your lowest lows end up contributing to your highest highs.
Absolutely.
Truthfully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very, very true. We could keep talking here for hours, which is, the conversation is fantastic. We do have some hot, yummy food that's just come out. And, with the micros and macros of it all. But I do want to say to Nadine and to everyone here, my name's Tanya, I'm from the Canadian Black Standard as well. The purpose of the Standard is a networking community. So Nadine, you're not alone. We all share the common. We all share the stories. I see heads nodding when everyone's talking here because we know what it feels like to be the only one in the room. We know what it feels like to be have to work twice as hard for half the pay, right? We know what it means to get someone promoted above us when we're the one doing all the work, right? But what we do have here is we're not individuals and the only in the room anymore because we are a room. We are a room of people here, and the strength of us coming together, yes. Say it loud. The strength of us coming together. Nadine, you just instantly got 100 friends, right? 100 sisters right here, because none of us are gonna let you down. We're all here to lift each other up. And so it's really important. I am so grateful to you, to Zara, Alyssa, Taylor, Savannah, for sharing this important conversation today. On behalf of all of us at the Canadian Black Standard, we thank you. Couple eyes of tears coming because of the reality, the touch. It's the vulnerability you're talking about, and it's so important because that's where we share the common ground, right? COVID kind of level set, especially in the mental health space. Everyone was feeling anxiety. Everyone was feeling depression. And so we can now start to talk about it and move this conversation forward, right? We don't need to hide anymore. So I want to thank all of you all for coming as well on behalf of the Standard. Especially a big shout out to our presenting sponsors, MLSE and NBA, for creating this platform called the Huddle. We can take care of our minds and our bodies so we can be the best we can be our best selves in the boardrooms, on the courts, and in life. I also want to thank our gifting sponsors, again, MLSE and NBA, Alpine Dog Company, Cup of Tea, thank you. Lululemon, who's also supporting, we've got our gift bags, so don't make sure you get your gift bags. Lulu's giving us a $100 gift card, y'all. Yes, you can get our summer fit. Thank you to Make Way, who's also donated some items that we can use a coupon. If you use the QR code, it's 15% off at Make Way from now until September. So you can use it whenever you want, all summer long. And also thank you to Victory and Slam. We have in your gift bag the official hot off the presses Kia Nurse on the cover, Slam magazine in your bag. So thank you very, very much. With our Dwayne Watson article. Hey. Holla. Oh. That's right. Full circle.
We appreciate all your support to everyone who's helped to make tonight a very special night. And a special shout out, we've got a group in the house that's amazing called Hoop Queens. Yes. Thank you, Hoop Queens, for coming and supporting. And Hoop Queens, the mentees are here as well to learn more about the business of sport. So this is very important because what's amazing is to see that there's sport on the court, but also off the court and around the sport, right? So we want you all to come and support Hoop Queens. Hello, guys. We want you all to come out and support First Paid Women's League tipping off Sunday at Kerr Hall. You better all be there. Okay. If you want a prize, make sure to go to the reception desk because you can go claim your prizes there. And before we head out, we want you to save the date, July 7th. RBC Money Moves, it's about unstoppable entrepreneurs. We're going to be celebrating Black women entrepreneurs at RBC's Water Park Place, which is on Queens Quay. They never let anybody there. They're letting us in. Oh my God, they're letting us in. It's on the roof. It's a summer, so plan your outfits. July 7th, the tickets go on sale next week. And we'll be celebrating with a marketplace of Black women in business. So make sure you save the date. Now, use your QR code. It has everything you need to know. You've got them on the 10 cards. Everything you need to know about the Standard, joining as a member of the Standard, getting your tickets for the next event, getting your discount code at Makeway. All of it is on the QR code. So make sure you download that QR code and save it on your phone. Let's get ready next because this next part is part of an asset we create called Queen's Corner. It's our monthly meetup for us queens to talk in an open and comfortable space. That's what this is all about, but we're doing it live for the first time in history. So we're really excited. Thank you to Trevor Louis and Pop Kitchen for providing us with all the food. And we're excited to mix and mingle with all of you. Last but not least, thank you for being here. It was a vision when we were in 2020 in COVID. We were like, we want to do something and bring together Black women. And to actually see this come to fruition is very heartwarming. And to see us come together, this is powerful. And it's only going to get bigger. We have members across the country. We had people tuning in from the US. This is a thing for Black women in marketing because it's about our narrative and us telling our story. And we're really excited. So thank you so much for coming here. Let's go party.